Welcome to another exciting episode of American Warrior Radio, coming to you since 2009. If you or someone you know has ever worn the uniform of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force, or National Guard or Reserves, you've come to the right place, American Warrior Radio. We're always efforting to bring you news, notes, interviews, and current events for all things military and veteran related. The bumper music for American Warrior Radio is provided by none other than combat veteran and mill hop artist Stephen Hobbs. Thank you, Stephen. With that said, let's kick the tires and light the fires and get this episode off the ground. Hi, everybody. Hey, you got here at a good time because we have another special guest, somebody that I know you're going to like listening to because she brings a wealth of experience and knowledge in none other than Crystal Turman from Wellspring Counseling Services. Hi, Crystal.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. And before we get to a little bit about you, I just want to share with the listeners and the audience that you participated in and were a big part of the success of the first Celebrate Female Veterans program we held here in Brevard County. Had over 112 ladies show up. It was wonderful. And thank you for being a part of that.
It was my honor. It was a lot of fun.
Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself. Let's have some bio.
Well, my name is Crystal Turman. I'm an Air Force veteran. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and owner of Wellspring Counseling Services, where we offer an alternative mental health therapy to traditional therapy and talk therapy and medications alone. And we help people discover their brain's full potential using neurofeedback. Neurofeedback is an approach that monitors the brainwaves and rewards them when they are at optimal level and through sight and sound until the brain no longer needs to be reminded to stay there. It's kind of like taking your brain to the gym. It's not covered by most.
Interesting analogy.
Yeah, I like it because, works it out and then the muscle gets stronger and the brain learns to do it on its own and it doesn't have to be reminded. So it takes a while and it's not covered by most insurances, but absolutely it's a great alternative, especially for trauma.
And that's something that we can speak about. But your practice, first of all, and our other producer, Kim, my wife, asked me to ask you, are you accepting new patients here in Brevard County at your practice?
I am for neurofeedback, I am referring out for the counseling and most of EMDR, but I do EMDR as well.
EMDR, we've heard that before. What does that stand for? It's an acronym.
Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And you can learn more about it at emdria.org. That's the International Association. It's also a form of brain retraining that requires less talk in the therapeutic process.
Interesting. And that's your specialty, is getting people better, getting them healthier minds. And just to jump back onto what you said about it's kind of like taking your brain to the gym. We need to work it, right? We need to use our brains in overcoming issues, but even solving problems going forward, right?
Absolutely. And when we're doing that, we're building new neurosynaptic connections. Research is showing that because the brain can learn and build new neurosynaptic connections and due to neuroplasticity, we can heal. To what degree? Who knows? But there's a very real reason we think and feel the way we think and feel, and it can be measured and retrained. And together we can discover your brain's full potential. And at the end of that, you can say, is this a brain I can live with, or does this a brain I need medication or I need more help with?
Sure. That just makes perfect sense. You got to start the journey, though, people. And it's professionals like Crystal that can help you begin down that path to having a healthier life, really, because activities of daily living are affected a lot by our brain and how we process things.
Absolutely.
Well, on the website, and I encourage everybody, what's your website again?
It's Wellspring CS, that stands for Counseling Services.org.
wellspringcs.org. John, our producer, is going to scroll that so you guys can have ready access to that as you watch the episode here. Within that website, and I'm just going to read this. As an Air Force veteran, Crystal understands the needs of veterans and their families and offers specialized treatment options for various issues military families face. Can you speak about that for a moment? Because we're going outside the veteran now or the active duty member, and we're talking about the family as a unit.
Yeah, as somebody who has been deployed, I actually met my husband on a deployment on top of an H-53 helicopter after the war. And somebody who's been home, I got out first and he retired. So I've had the unique perspective of being home and being deployed. And I have to say, being home was pretty hard. I mean, there's really no comparison, but it had its challenges of its own. And so I bring that perspective of understanding what it takes for the family and the demand and the stress and what it feels like anytime anybody knocks on your door that you're not expecting when your loved one is deployed, and
Ooh.
emotions that can bring up, the things we don't talk about when we say goodbye and the heroes send off, and when we go home and cry, and just those things that we don't talk about amongst ourselves, but just to walk in and be able to talk about what's facing you today and right now, knowing that the person on the other side gets it, is
Well, you
priceless.
mentioned emotions, and I'm throwing in the word anxiety. That knock on the door, God forbid. It does happen, though. It does happen, people. Either your loved one that's been deployed maybe has been injured, God forbid they were killed in action, but just the anticipation and the anxiety rise in a family member, the spouse, whether it's a man or woman who's back home. In your case, the spouse was a woman, but it happens the other way around too. That knock on the door. If they're having issues, if that's running through their mind on a regular basis as they watch the news and how the world's just going crazy, how do they start? Well, how do you start to overcome that? What's the process?
With the client, or
Yeah, with the client.
yeah. Yeah, so just offering a safe space to discuss that, in privacy, where you don't have to worry about it going up the chain of command, or it negatively affecting your loved one's career. And that's the beauty of being right outside the gate. I'm off base and I'm not a part of any of those systems, but I'm somebody who once was. So
Exactly. And that's where your experience is multifold. You've got a wide range of experience as an active duty member, as a veteran, as a spouse of an active duty member, and now you both are out of the service, which is, thank you for your service, by the way. Just real quick, what was your AFSC in the service? What'd you do?
I was an avionics technician. I worked on all of the instrumentation in the cockpit, and on fixed wing, it was called autopilot. On helicopters, it was called inertial navigation. I worked all 4 helicopter airframes that the Air Force had at the time. And by the way, I'm an Air Force mom now. My son is serving. And
Go
yes,
Air Force.
I got a lot of boxes checked. Like, oh, that's a new experience.
Well, for our viewers, was it a military tradition within your family to serve, or did you just break out and say I was going to go in the Air Force?
My grandfather served in the Army and my uncle served in the Army, but neither of my parents served. Or no, my uncle was in the Air Force. My grandfather was in the Army. Sorry about that. And it was for my husband. So this has been it's been such an honor to serve my country. It really has.
Well, and we appreciate that. And your continuing service to this nation by helping our war fighters and their family members. So, everybody, listen, there are people like Crystal out there. You have to seek them out, but they're there and they can help you because we talk a lot. And after every episode, Crystal, I'm sure you're aware on American Warrior Radio, the wonderful PSA that John made regarding suicide, particularly veteran suicide. It plays after every episode. Can you speak to that for just a moment? If somebody's really in a dark place and they get a hold of you, how quickly could somebody expect to be seen? Whether it's for the neurofeedback, which you specialize in,
Right.
or counseling in general.
Neurofeedback, I can get them up and running within a week and a half to 2 weeks. I can get them in the office to have the initial brain map done, usually within a week. It just depends on how long it takes them to fill out the paperwork.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and then there are resources that I'll point them into for the mental health, for suicide. That's a little more critical situation, but knowing that somebody is on the other end helping them go through that process sometimes can be a big help. But yeah, Brevard County has a lot of help and support for veterans. They really know how to love on us here.
Well, and we're closing this episode, everybody. Just really appreciate you tuning in. It's Crystal Turman with Wellspring Counseling Services here in Brevard County. If somebody's watching us in Nebraska, is there a clearinghouse or something where they can find somebody like yourself that's eminently qualified to offer therapy? Is that something you know of?
Well, absolutely. So one of the things that I don't think people know about, but it's nationwide, it's 211. If you dial 211, that is put on by the United Way, and it will tell you what your local resources are. You tell them exactly what you're looking for, and they will help point you in the right direction. So that is definitely
That's easy enough. 211.
Mhm.
I like that. Good referral. And everybody, this is Kiki the Wonder Dog. She's my therapy dog, and she's a service dog in training, because animals can make a big difference in our lives as well. Crystal, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you'll join us again on another episode of American Warrior Radio. And God bless you and your family, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor.
Well, everybody, listen, as I always say at the end, don't forget, thank a vet. Hi everyone, it's Garen Cohn with American Warrior Radio. I'm here with my good friend Christian. We're here to deliver a very important message about a crisis in our land.
Suicide prevention, more specifically, veteran suicide prevention.
22 a day are taking their own lives. This must stop. This can't continue. If you or someone you know is contemplating suicide, please know that God has tomorrow planned for you. Don't take your own life, and just remember, suicide is a permanent solution
to a temporary problem.